English Learning Podcast.
From Easy English with Class.
Okay, picture this. It's, say, a Tuesday. You're in the break room, maybe waiting for the coffee machine, or you're just grabbing your mail. A colleague walks up, smiles, and asks that one question, the most common question ever. How was your day?
And then the freeze?
The freeze. It's just crazy, right? I mean, we were there. We lived every second of that day. But suddenly your brain just makes that old dial-up internet sound. You panic. You just blurt out, good, and then you just stare at them.
And the conversation dies a really painful instant death.
Exactly. It is the conversational equivalent of a flat line. Or I guess you sometimes see the other extreme, the floodgates open.
Oh, the data dump.
Yes, you start listing everything. I woke up at 7, the alarm was annoying, my toast was a little burnt, the bus was 3 minutes late.
Yeah.
And you can literally just watch the light go out of their eyes.
Because you're not having a conversation anymore. You're reading a logbook.
I've definitely been the toast rambler before. It's painful. But here's the thing. This isn't just about small talk. It's really about connection. And that is what we're unpacking today. We're doing a deep dive into this really practical guide called Talk About Your Day in English from the Easy English with Class series.
And what's so fascinating about this material is that it treats this daily interaction, something we all do on autopilot, as a skill that can be, engineered. It offers these specific formulas to bridge that gap between the one-word good and the, 10-minute monologue about burnt toast.
Engineering small talk sounds a little, robotic, doesn't it? I mean, isn't the whole point of chatting to be spontaneous?
You'd think so, but the guide argues that for a learner, or really for anyone who feels a bit socially awkward, spontaneous, usually just equals panic, the engineering isn't to make you a robot. It's to give you a kind of safety net so you can relax enough to actually be human.
Okay, I can buy that. Structure creates freedom. So let's get into the mechanics. The text points to 4 main barriers, these friction points that make this question so hard.
Right. And the first one is the good-bad trap. This is the default setting for almost everyone. You just answer with the binary, good, bad, busy.
But is that really a trap? I mean, it's safe, it gets the job done.
Well, it gets the transaction done, but it kills the interaction. The guide points out that the problem isn't the word good, it's that you don't have the bridge to a second sentence. You effectively put up a stop sign.
You're telling the other person, I'm done talking.
Exactly. You're closing the door.
That makes sense. Okay, so what's the second barrier?
Tense anxiety. This is a huge mental hurdle. You're standing there thinking, wait, is my day happening now? Or is it past? Do I say I go or I went?
Oh, I feel that split-second grammatical panic where you're trying to do mental gymnastics while, trying to look relaxed.
Exactly. And that leads to the third barrier, which we already touched on, the data dump. This is where you confuse talking about your day with listing every single chronological event. The guide argues that listing breakfast, commute, emails, it's a barrier to connection because you aren't curating the information.
It's the difference between telling a story and reading a grocery receipt.
Nobody wants a receipt.
Right.
And the fourth barrier is the dead end. This is when you actually manage to give a decent answer, maybe even a full sentence, but then you just fail to ask anything back. You create this awkward silence because you didn't, return the volley.
Okay, so we have the traps. We know why we crash and burn. So now let's get to the fix. The source material introduces a really specific framework called the DAY formula. I do love a good acronym. It's TTF.
TTF. It stands for time, task, and feeling. This is the core structure the text proposes to keep you on track.
So let's break that down. First T is for time.
Right. You establish the when, today, this morning, after work. It just grounds the listener immediately. It tells them where we are.
Okay, then the second T is task.
This is the what. What did you actually do? But, and this is key, it's not everything you did. It's the main thing. I worked a lot, or I went to the store.
Simple. And finally, F for feeling.
How was it? I felt tired, it was stressful, I was happy. This adds that human element. So instead of just, I worked, you have today, time, I worked a lot, task, and I felt tired, feeling.
Today, I worked a lot and I felt tired. That's already so much better than just good. But The guide mentions a kind of secret ingredient to this.
Yes. This is what takes it from just a status update to a real conversation. They call it the highlight.
The highlight.
It's adding the best part or the most important thing right at the end.
Why is that so effective, though?
Well, think about movie trailers. They always end with a hook, right? The explosion, the joke, the big mystery. The highlight is the trailer for your conversation. It gives the whole narrative a peek.
Ah, so it's the bait.
Exactly. If I just say, I worked and I'm tired, there's nothing for you to grab onto. But if I say, today I worked a lot and I felt tired, but the best part was finishing early.
I'm immediately going to ask, oh, so what did you do with your extra time?
Boom. Conversation started. The highlight invites curiosity.
That is really slick.
Yeah.
But here's a question. Does every interaction need this full, TTF plus highlight treatment?
Mm-hmm.
Like if I'm in the elevator with someone from the fourth floor who I barely know, do I really need to give them my emotional state and the highlight of my afternoon?
That's a great point, and the guide actually addresses this with what they call scaling your answer. They outline 3 distinct levels of depth, depending on the context.
I like that. A sliding scale of small talk. Okay, let's role play this a bit so we can hear the difference.
Sure.
Okay, level 1, this is the elevator ride. You have maybe 15 seconds. I ask, how was your day? Give me a level 1.
It was pretty good, thanks. Just a bit tiring.
Short, sweet, nobody gets hurt.
Right. Level 1 is usually just one sentence. It acknowledges the question without demanding a bunch of time.
Okay, now how does that shift if we move to level 2? Let's say we're at the coffee machine. We're not in a rush, but we're not best friends.
So the guide calls this the sweet spot. You need to give a little bit of meat on the bone. So for level 2, I might say, it was stressful, actually, but I finally finished that big report.
Okay, I hear the difference. You gave me a feeling stressful and a task, the report. You invited me in just a little.
Exactly. Level 2 is usually 2 sentences. It creates an opening, but it doesn't hold the listener hostage.
And then level 3.
Level 3 is longer, so 3 to 5 sentences. This is where that narrative structure really starts to shine. It's almost like a little mini-movie, beginning, middle, and end.
Give me the mini-movie.
Overall, it was a busy day. This morning, I worked on emails. After work, I went to the store. The best part was just getting everything done.
I like that overall at the beginning. It sort of sets the stage. Overall is a busy day. It's like you're warning the listener, hey, I'm about to tell you a little story.
It frames the whole answer. And notice, even at level 3, it is not a data dump. It's curated. Emails, store, feeling, done.
So the key takeaway here is just having these templates ready. If it's your boss, maybe you use a level 2 or 3. If it's the delivery guy, level 1.
Exactly. It prevents the freeze because you aren't inventing the structure on the fly. You're just filling in the blanks.
Speaking of filling in the blanks, let's talk about the words themselves. Because sometimes we freeze, not because of the structure, but because we're searching for some perfect, impressive vocabulary word.
This is a huge trap, especially for learners or, perfectionists. The guide actually categorizes high-frequency verbs into 4 buckets: work study, home life, errands, and free time. And what's so striking is how incredibly simple the recommended verbs are.
Yeah, looking at this list, there's no collaborated, synergized, or facilitated. But let's be honest. If I tell someone I facilitated a collaborative session, I sound important. If I say I had a meeting, I just sound basic. Doesn't simple vocabulary make me sound dumb?
You sound important with the fancy words, sure, but you also sound a bit like a LinkedIn profile, not a human being. The guide makes a really important point here about something called cognitive load.
Cognitive load.
Yeah. When you use these high-friction words like facilitated, my brain has to do a little microsecond of work just to decode you. When you say, I helped my team, I get it instantly. The goal is to lower the barrier for the listener.
So it's about communication, not showing off.
Exactly. Under work, the guide suggests things like, I answered emails, I made a call, I finished an assignment. Simple active verbs.
And under home?
I cooked dinner, I did the dishes, I went to bed early.
I ran some errands, we went to the bank, I watched a show.
The insight here is that just saying, I rested or I drove is infinitely clearer than stumbling around trying to find some fancy synonym for relaxing.
Okay, I'm sold. Simple is better. But let's circle back to one of those friction points you mentioned. Tense anxiety. The guide spends a lot of time on this today dilemma.
This is that classic battle between past simple and present perfect. Or, more simply, how is your day? versus how has your day been?
I feel like people mix these up all the time. Is there a way to, like, visualize this so it sticks?
Yes. Think of your day like a Tupperware container.
A Tupperware container. Okay, I'm with you.
If you use the past simple, my day was busy, you are putting the lid on the container, you're sealing it. The day is effectively over.
Even if it's still light outside.
Exactly. If you say it was good at 2 p.m., you kind of sound like you're packing up and going home. But if the container's still open, if you're still in the middle of it, you have to use present perfect. It is
crazy. The lid is off. Anything could still happen.
Right. So morning or midday check-in, it has been crazy. Late night drink with a friend, it was crazy.
That's actually really helpful. Lid on or lid off? What does the guide say about specific actions?
Yes, and this is a crucial rule for learners. If you're talking about a specific action, just stick to the past simple. It is so much easier and usually more correct. I went to the store, not I have went to the store.
Oh, I have went. That is just nails on a chalkboard. We should get to common mistakes in a bit, but that one is a biggie.
It is. The main takeaway for you is, if you aren't sure, past simple is usually safer for telling a story. I did this, then I did that.
Okay, so we have our structure, the TTFR level of depth, and our grammar container. But here's the reality check. Most days are, well, boring. I'm not fighting dragons. I'm mostly fighting the urge to nap. How do I use this formula when I literally did nothing worth mentioning?
This is where people get stuck. They think their day needs to be entertaining. But the guide argues that interesting isn't about the event, it's about the sequence. You don't need dragons, you just need logical flow using what they call simple connectors.
Give us the toolkit. How do I make I sat at my desk sound like a story?
It's 4 basic connectors. First, because, for reasons. I was tired because I didn't sleep well. Suddenly, I was tired has context.
Okay.
Second, but for contrast. It was stressful, but I finished my work. Now there's a little dramatic tension there and a resolution.
I like that. It's a mini hero's journey. I struggled, but I succeeded.
Third is, so, for results. I was hungry, so I ordered food. And fourth is then or after that for sequence. First I worked, then I studied.
These are such small words, but they act like glue. They turn a list into an actual narrative.
They do. And this brings us to a really critical constraint mentioned in the text, which I think is just brilliant. The 3 details max rule.
3 details.
Never give more than 3 details. I had a meeting, answered emails, and ran errands, and then you stop.
Why 3? Why not 4?
Because of brain drift. 3 is a pattern. 4 is just a list. If you say, I had a meeting, answered emails, ran errands, cooked dinner, and called my mom, you've lost the rhythm. The listener just checks out.
There's a great rule for life, honestly. The power of 3. Now, we talked about the dead end earlier, where you answer but don't ask back.
Yeah.
The guide calls the solution the ping-pong effect.
Right. Conversation is a game of catch. You have to throw the ball back.
The easiest way is the reflex question, right? How about you? What about you?
Those are essential. But the guide suggests leveling up with specific follow-ups. They actually present this as a kind of game.
Oh, I love a game. Okay, let's play. I'll give you an answer. You give me the follow-up.
Let's do it.
Okay. My day was really busy.
Oh, what did you do?
You asked for the task. Okay. Next one. It was actually pretty stressful.
Oh, no. Why would it stressful?
Probing the feeling. Last one. It was great, actually.
Nice. What was the best part?
Boom. You're asking for the highlight. It turns a one-word answer into a real dialogue.
It shows you're actually listening. And that's the secret. People think being a good conversationalist is about being interesting. It's actually about being interested. These specific follow-ups prove you're interested.
I love that distinction. Okay, before we wrap up, we have to do the rapid-fire round. The guide has a section on common mistakes and quick fixes. I want to run through these because I hear them all the time.
Let's hit it.
Mistake number 1. Today I go to work.
Classic. Using present tense for a finished action, the fix is just, today I went. Keep it in the past.
Mistake number 2. Went to store.
The missing subject, it sounds like a robot. The fix, I went to the store. Always own your actions.
Mistake number 3. Repetitive vocabulary. I was very tired. It was very good. I'm very busy.
The very trap. The fix is to swap it out. Use really, so, kind of, or a bit. I'm really tired. Just sounds so much more natural.
Mistake number 4. We mentioned this one. I have went.
That grammar headache. The fix. I went or I have gone. But honestly, just stick to I went. It's harder to mess up.
And the final mistake, just ending with silence.
The fix. Always, always return the question, and you. It's the period at the end of your social sentence.
It seems so obvious, but in the moment, when we're nervous, we just forget.
We do. We get so focused on surviving our own answer that we forget the interaction isn't over.
So let's bring this all together. We've unpacked a lot today. The big takeaway is that TTF formula: time, task, feeling.
Plus that highlight at the end, the little movie trailer.
Right. And keeping it to 3 details max so you don't bore everyone to death.
Right.
And always throwing the ball back with a follow-up.
If you do just those 3 things, you transform from the person who freezes to the person who actually connects.
The source material actually suggests a really cool exercise for this, which they call the comment challenge.
Yes, I strongly recommend this. The idea is to write a 5-line recap of your day using the template we talked about. Line 1, overall summary. Line 2, morning. Line 3, afternoon. Line 4, evening. And line 5, the feeling or the highlight.
Writing it down forces you to organize your thoughts. It sort of builds the muscle memory, so when you're speaking, the structure is just there.
Exactly. It moves the skill from your passive knowledge into your active knowledge.
And, you know, what I really appreciate about this whole deep dive is the philosophy behind it. We put so much pressure on ourselves to be entertaining, to be the life of the party.
And that's the core message the guide leaves us with. Your day doesn't need to be exciting for the conversation to be good. Your English, or just your communication, it just needs to be clear.
That takes all the pressure off. You don't need to have fought a bear on your way to work. You just need to say, I went to work, it was busy, but I'm glad to be home. How about you?
That is a perfect connection.
So here is our challenge to you. The next time someone asks, how was your day? Don't just say good. Try the medium level. Give them 2 sentences. Give them a TTF. Just see how it changes the interaction.
And pay attention to how they respond. You might be surprised to find that by opening up just a little bit more, you invite them to do the same.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the art of the daily update.
It's been a pleasure.
Now go out there and tell someone about your day properly. We'll see you next time.